did becoming a father change you, or did it?
Uh, for me, I think it made me focus more on my actions. It wasn't that I actually changed as a person, because I think that was all in me. But when I became a father, I think that kind of opened me up to what I really was, what I really thought of, or how I felt about certain things, because you have somebody watching you. So it wasn't really a change. I think it was always in me, but I think it was more so just opening up to who I really was, and realizing what's important.
I think for me, um, I'm a very selfish person. So once I had my son, I realized that it's not always about me. Um, a lot goes into it with sharing and everything like that. You got to share everything. You got to make sure you're teaching him at all times too, so he can learn. It's not all about him. So I think that's the biggest thing that changed with me.
Kind of what both of them said. So for me, I've always been a giving person. I've always been the oldest child, oldest grandchild on both sides. So I always had that giving um, thing thing about me. So I don't think that I've ever been selfish, but taking care of somebody else is totally different than taking care of yourself. I mean, you can do whatever you want, suffer the consequences and all that, but when it's somebody else that you got to take care of, that changes it a little bit. So I'd say the biggest thing for me was kind of like Joe said, just open my eyes to I got to be more cognizant of what I'm doing, because that's not just going to affect me, but it's going to affect others around me. So that was the biggest thing for me.
I got you. So what was y'all's reaction when y'all found out y'all was gonna be a father? Whether it was the first or the second time?
For me, the first time, I was hyped. I was ecstatic. Not a lot of people know, but we lost our first one before that, and that was a blow. So for it to actually happen this time, it was definitely a good feeling. I was ready. I was ready to take on that responsibility. And then for my daughter, just knowing that I was having a daughter the second time around, just made it complete pretty much. Having a boy and a girl, it just made it complete. Both times I was just ecstatic to bring a new life.
I didn't really feel much when she first told me. Um, I felt more when I actually seen it and held it, because I had never held a baby or anything, because I was always scared to. Um, and I think once I got over that fear of holding it, I was like, man, I actually did this. I brought a life into the world, and that's where I really felt it. But when she first told me, I was actually asleep, and she woke me up. So I was trying to go back to sleep.
That's cool.
So for me, especially the first one, I was on top of the world. I mean, it was the best feeling that I'd ever felt. I was only 20 years old. So for me, that was the top everything that had occurred to me in my life, other than being married. But that was the greatest feeling in the world. So from that day forward until I held my first child, it was great. Second one was good too. Again, I love kids, so having two kids was great. And then when I had my daughter, like Joe said, that was complete, because I had boys and girls. So that was great. But at the same time, as good as it felt, it also changed that mindset that now you're responsible to take care of somebody. So as good as it felt to know that you're going to be a dad, then that reality set in too, that I got to take care of them too. So that's the other side of it.
True. Yeah. Well, that kind of leads to the next question. If you could change one thing about being a father, what would it be?
For me, it's not actually anything that has to do with actually being a father. It's just I work a lot right now, and just having that time to spend with your kids is just, that's priceless. You can't get that time back. You can't, you know, you can't pay anybody to give you that time. You can't do any of that. So just anytime I'm with my kids, I cherish that. No matter what we're doing, we could just be sitting at home on the couch watching TV, watching a movie, any of that. But that time is just something that's priceless to me. So if I could pay somebody to give me that time, if I could not work the rest of my life somehow, I would do that in a heartbeat just to be with my kids. So.
I can't really think of anything that I would change. I usually take things as they go. So, you know, whatever happens, happens, and I'll kind of adapt to the situation. So I don't really look at how to change things. I just go with the flow, really. So I wouldn't change anything.
Well, for me, I grew up kind of in the era of the man's responsibility was to go out, make the money, bring it home. And so I grew up with that mentality, and the wife's responsibility was to take care of the kids. So first probably 5, 6, 7 years when my kids were around, that's all I did was work. I mean, and like Joe said, I wish I could go back and take that time back. But that was the biggest thing that I would change if I had the opportunity to go back, was to spend more time with them in those early years. I mean, I didn't even teach him how to ride a bike. Somebody else did that because I was working so much. And when I saw that, that was when I realized I had to change. I mean, you can make money, do all those things, but you can't have back that time. So if I could do anything, that would be it. Spend more time with the kids.
Yeah. Okay, so Big Joe, I'm gonna ask you this question, and then Joe, I want you to answer the one. I want you to answer the last. So, Big Joe, how was your relationship? How was your relationship with your kids different than how yours was with your father?
Like I said, initially, I thought my job, my responsibility was to be the breadwinner. Go to work every day, you know, let the wife take care of the kids. And so, like I said, the first few years, that's how I approached it. I just made sure they had food to eat, a roof over their head, and that was it. I mean, I thought that was my responsibility, but as I got older, and like I said, that blow to me was when I saw my son ride a bike, and I hadn't taught him that. And so from that day forward, I changed. I mean, I started playing with them, playing video games. We'd shoot around basketball, throw the baseball, whatever it was. I wanted to be in, you know, in their lives. I did, cause my dad, we played basketball one time. I mean, he never saw me play sports. He never came to any concerts, any of those things that I had. Again, his mentality was, I take care of you, and that's all my responsibility is. And so that was a huge change for me to not do the same thing for my kids that my dad did to me. I mean, I loved him, but I didn't realize what he lost, because I was starting to lose that with my kids too. So that's the biggest difference, I think, is I tried to spend as much time as I could. I know I had to work and stuff, but I did go make that extra effort to try and spend time with them when I could. So to me, that was the biggest change. The shift was that I wasn't going to just be that, you know, responsible dad on the financial side and all those things, but not be there for them emotionally, and to be there to support them and encourage them to do all those things. So I think that's the biggest change between me and my dad and my kids.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I only noticed the second part of it because I knew a lot of, you know, a lot of the guys I played sports with and all that, their dads weren't showing up to the games. My dad was there whenever he could be, and even sometimes he would move stuff around so he could be there. So it was more that's what I took from that. And so with my son, I'm, you know, anytime we can spend any kind of time together, that's what we do. Whether it's, you know, shooting the Nerf guns at each other or playing a video game together, whatever it is, you know, I learned that from him because of what he did with us. So it wasn't, I was too young pretty much to notice the first part of it where he was just working and that was it. But the second part of it, when the change was made, I noticed that part. So that's what I take into he was trying to be there, and he was, you know, doing whatever he could to be present,
Right.
you know, so we could see him, we could see the effort, and we noticed it. So that's what I take from. So it's pretty much the same in that regard. There's really nothing different. I learned from him, and I'm, you know, giving that to my son and my daughter. So
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a lot of time with my son. He's only one, um, but I plan to kind of model my fatherhood after my dad's because I think he did a really good job. He kind of talked about how he was always there for us, but I think he showed us a good balance between hard work and being there. Because I mean, whenever he had us do jobs or whatever, he would make sure we finished it all the way through and we didn't give up halfway. Um, and I think we seen him going to work every day. You know, he never called in, bad weather, whatever. He was going to work. So I think he instilled those behaviors in us. And I plan to do the same thing with my son. So
Right on. All right. Brings me to my last question. So, in your own words, describe to me what a father means to you, or what being a father means to
for me, you know, it's kind of those things we talked about: being there, being present, uh, teaching along the way. It's there's a lot of I see a lot of kids out there that don't have guidance. You know, teenagers that are just running wild, doing things that, you know, their parents haven't taught them or showed them. So it's kind of like they're just out there with no, you know, no lessons learned, nothing at all. They're just going on their own whim, and I don't want my kids to be that way. So I think most of fatherhood is about, you know, showing that guidance from a man's perspective. I know females have their perspective on life and how things should go, but having that male perspective in your life, it can change a lot. And I feel, especially seeing the way things are going with the youth now, that's definitely important. So fatherhood for me is just instilling that in your kids, letting them know that a male figure is there, and showing them, you know, how things should go from a male, or teaching things from a male perspective that you feel like they need to know.
I think the biggest thing is providing structure, I guess I would say. Um, just showing, I mean, it was a lot of what he said. Um, just showing, you know, action and consequences, teaching that. Because I think the reason like people be acting up and stuff like that is because they never have consequences, and a lot of times the dads are the ones that provide those consequences to the kids. I know moms can also do it, but it's just different when it's coming from a man, I think, because that's how it was when I was growing up. You know, I felt my dad was like the consequences person, but then my mom was like a person I could go and talk to and open up to if I had problems. I feel like I could have did that with him too, but it was more so the consequences that I was worried about. So I think it just provides more structure when you have that balance of both parents.
Yeah, I think both of them hit it right on the head. Fatherhood is you're responsible for people other than yourself, and so if you want them to turn out to be the best version of themselves, you got to remain active in their lives. I mean, today we still have conversations about you know, their jobs and things like that because it doesn't stop when they turn 18 and now they're adults. As a father, I'll be a father until, you know, I pass away. So it continues. The coaching, the mentoring, the development, all that continues. And like I like what the way Tomer said it, that balance. I think that's a big part of it because it does take. It's just not you. It is the wife or the female, you know, counterpart. They have to be on board as well. Because like you said, the mom may have that softer touch and be able to do that for you, but you got to have that dad that's sometimes the bad guy, you know, be that authoritative figure to make things balance out. So they both hit it right on the head. I think the biggest thing is just being active and talk about consequences because you're right in the work, you know, out there today. People are doing things without consequences, and it all starts in the home. That's when you learn, don't touch that. You touch it, you get a spanking. I mean, you learn those type of things in the household. And if you haven't had that growing up, then that's the way you're going to be as an adult. So you're going to struggle. So what both of them said is right on.
Cool.
I'm Joseph Hamlet, and I'm from Kansas City.
I'm Joseph Hamlet Jr. I'm from Kansas City.
I'm Torrin Hamlet, and I'm from Kansas City.
And this is
I'm a
Father.
Father.